What's up, everybody? My name is Dan Shimolinski. People like to call me Shimmy, and you can too. I'm a bassist, sound designer, and composer based in Los Angeles, and today we have a fun one. This is the Braahms Horn Generator, and Brahms as in Brahms, not this guy, but I think he would have approved. We are going for big cinema hits in this library, and it is super fun to play with. I'm excited to show you the variety of sounds that we get. As always, we're going to look at the parts, we're going to look at the programs, and then we're going to dive straight into just making some awesome Brahms tones to suit all of your cinema needs. So let's go for it. ADO has always been on the cutting edge of big cinema brass, Brahms sounds, slams, hits, and this library is no exception and a beautiful illustration of that. We talk a lot about source material, using these parts as starting points to get wherever you want to go within Soundpaint, and this library is probably the peak example of source material. Not to say that these parts don't sound incredible on their own, they do, but it's all about being meant to be stacked, detuned, getting you to your ultimate Braahm sound. And so today we are going to take a deep dive into all of these parts, take a look at what they sound like, look at some programs, and make some sounds from scratch. So let's get ready to wake up my neighbors. All right, so as we're jumping into the Braahms Horn Generator, your A sounds are kind of your boilerplate, direct synth, stabby attack sounds. There's not a whole lot of movement. It's really meant to be just kind of instant impact. And let's just check out a couple of those now. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of movement there. You're just getting a real beefy, thick sustain, very stabby, a notable attack. That's kind of your A sounds. By the way, quick tip there, I don't know if you noticed, but I was changing between the parts using my arrow keys. If you just use up or down within either the parts menu or the program menu, you can really quickly compare sounds. That's something I actually just learned today and have been using for exactly this purpose. Moving on to your B sounds, this starts to introduce some motion into the tones. These are sort of kind of blending acoustic elements with electronic elements. They're kind of supposed to swell and develop in the sustain. So this would be really great paired with an A Braahms horn. You're not going to maybe have so much of a harsh attack as you do in the A sounds. These are kind of dealing more with like sub frequencies sometimes, but they're definitely interesting and I'd love to show them off. Yeah. So you can hear there's a lot more going on in there. These do sound more true to like actual brass instruments to me. The attack is almost always kind of a little bit leading into the more interesting motion that's happening. But as you know, we can use the offset tool to kind of clip that a little bit later into the sample if you wanted, say, the timbre of one of these sounds, but you wanted a faster attack. We can use our offset tool. In fact, why don't we just quickly demonstrate that now? We'll go back to B1 and see the slow attack. And let's just pull up our offset tool here. And let's say we want it maybe 0.3 of a second in. So that way we're right on the dot, but we're still getting the motion. So just goes to show you that, you know, you can use any of these parts as they're intended, not as they're intended. It's totally up to you. And last but not least, our C sounds. Now these are sort of in the same vein as the B sounds, but they tend to come from processed acoustic sources. So you're getting more distortion, you're getting more artifacts. This is kind of the blend that you want to go to when you want to add even more motion, even more little critters in your sound. The C bank is going to be where to go for that. So let's check them out. I told you this would be a fun one. We're getting some straight up foghorn territory there, but you can kind of hear how these are a little more grisly, a little more processed. There's definitely some filtering happening. There's some overdrive happening. So that's a very quick run through of the parts of the Brahms library. There's so much in there when you start to think about you can quadruple layer these sounds, just get all this crazy motion, mess with the panning, run it through Soundpaint's amazing effects. There's just an infinite amount of sonic possibilities here just to get you that ultimate, chest-pounding Braahm sound. And speaking of that, let's check out some of these wonderful programs so we can see this stuff in action. Now, I'm getting an early version here. I think these names are going to be slightly changed or maybe reordered. So if it doesn't perfectly match what yours looks like, have no fear. It's probably in there. But you do get quite a few amount of programs, and they are all really, really fun to play. I've picked out just a handful of my favorites. And let's start with the 808 Kicker by Trolls. Uh-oh. I can't play more notes than that, or this video is going to get taken down for copyright. He's got 2 EQs on there. I was looking, I'm like, where's the moving band? It's in this one. That's really, really cool. I mean, I could just sit here all day and just make my wall shake. Very, very cool. So he's combining 3 layers of Braahms horn with an 808 kick. And this is something I'm definitely going to want to talk about later when we get into designing these from scratch. It's always good to give an initial punch to the beginning of your Braahm. And this definitely does that very effectively. We've got some EQ motion here on the mod wheel, as well as the frequency of band 4. Very, very cool. So we're getting a bass lift and a boost kind of around 6K to get even more upper kind of, grizzlies. Very neat. Very cool. Let's check out Clean 2 Electric. So just because, we've got these big Braahm sounds doesn't mean you can't make a funky kind of clav sounding thing. I love that. That's super fun to play, reacts super well. Very cool. Let's check out Clean 3 SymphonII. Are those L's? Are those uppercase I's? I don't know. Let's find out. I was like, is there a record scratch effect that I didn't know about? No, it's on mono glide. So here we go. Epic. Yeah. So, obviously the standard idea here is, cinema, big brass stuff, but that would kind of make for an awesome, bass line. If you were to filter that down, that could become a bass instrument, for maybe something a little more like hip hop or R&B. It could work. I don't know. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and see if that actually would work. I'm going to throw a ladder filter on the very end of this beautiful chain here and see what that exact same program would sound like, just filtered down a little bit. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's check out Pad Pong. So I'm guessing this will be a pad, so let's just jump in with a pretty chord. I was not quite expecting that bass to just grow like that at the end there. Wow, that's beautiful. What? I feel like we just entered a different library. This is still Brahms? Yeah, 3 Brahms parts, all from the B collection. We've got some EQ action here. Didn't even touch the mod wheel. Let's see what it does. So the mod wheel is affecting the bands of 2 EQs here, the detail of the offsets, 2 part volumes, and the size of the lexicon reverb. So let's hear that in action. So that's wheeled down. There's where that growth comes from. Oh, that's so cool. What a clever matrix. Love that. Moving on to more things that don't sound like Brahms. This is a mono synth created by trolls once again. Super fun. Yeah, that's kind of got like a Moog-ish sound to it. Very cool. Let's check out old chiptune horn. Goofing around there, but yeah, that's super cool. Wow, so we've got a fast vibrato going to micro pitch. Bit crusher, obviously a huge part of the sound. Was messing with the filter on the mod wheel over there, and also the LFO micro pitch. Very cool. Let's check out old chiptune horn. Super fun. Yeah, so let's see what we got going on there. I definitely heard an LFO to the pitch. And also the CC controls some stuff. Always check your mod wheel. With all of these programs, I think it was kind of told to everybody who's designing these sounds to utilize the mod wheel and the easy accessibility. So if you're ever going through them, always check out and see what it does. All right, this one is called Levitate. I don't know why I keep going to D. Let's do a different key. I do know why I'm going to D, but I'm not going to say it. The inner bassist in me is loving the super sub element of these sounds. Just like grows. Oh, it's so good. This one's called Parallels. And I don't know if you're noticing, but there are just like maybe one or two of these layers just tastefully kind of, put on top of each other. Obviously, you can have up to 4 if you're going for the mega Braahm. But it doesn't need much. There's so much to deal with in each individual sound. There's you've got your static ones, you've got your ones with more motion, you've got ones with kind of, more information in the upper range. It's just, it's amazing. There's so much here to work with. All right, I see what it is now. Got to check out the mod wheel on this one. Just to the low pass. I love it. It's great. That's such a clutch move to just assign your mod wheel to either the speed or amount of an LFO or to the overall cutoff of your filter. That way just things grow and swell just how you want them to. Super nasty. Love it. This one's called Sub-Label. I was going for a regal vibe and it gave me a bitey hip hop vibe. That actually kind of reminds me of kind of the stuff that you find in G brass. I mean, that's just a super useful sound. You could use it like to open up an orchestra or some major brass sound, or you could definitely use it as the backing of any kind of beat that you want to make. Super versatile. And last but not least, this is Taken. Let's try something with this one. There's already so much going on here. I'm going to use one of our presets here and just see what they do. Let's try Throb Bass. Cool. So yeah, you can add rhythm to this. It's not just big blown out sustains. You can actually add some articulation and make it into something really cool. You can obviously use your ARP and write some awesome sequences for it. And as with everything in Soundpaint, I should just mention the velocities are great and super useful. Obviously, this is kind of like a bigger, more brash library, so you might not want to get into the sensitivities of what, half a velocity on your ARP sounds like, but every sound is usable. And if you're getting into the nitty gritty of, blending this with other types of sounds, that might be something you want to explore. All right, now on to the fun part. Let's make something from scratch. And typically I have a little bit of an idea of a direction I might want to go into. Not so with this. I just want to create the ultimate Braahm sound. And for me, the ultimate Braahm has 3 main elements. The first element, it has to have a punchy attack. These have to be chest knockers. I mean, you are trying to create sort of just a massive instant hit of whoa, right? So the attack has to be strong. There has to be a good punch. The second element for me is the resulting sustain has to have a lot of movement so that it's evolving and it's continuing to be epic, possibly getting more epic because, you've just had this giant meteor hit. The world's not just going to be like that. Things are going to be falling all around you. And so, for me, motion and subtleties is super, super important. And then finally, the third and most important thing is some solid processing. Dry Brahms don't sound very good. They sound really good to me when they're through these big juicy reverbs. And so I'm going to try and create maybe a multi-layer Brahm from scratch here. And I tend to like to think to run these left to right. This is, 1, 2, 3, 4 is how I think of it. So I tend to think of my attack that I want in slot 1, but it doesn't matter. You can put it wherever you want. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a page out of Troll's book. That very, very first program that we heard really inspired me to go to the 808s because I want a hit. I want to feel, so I'm actually going to decide what I want my impact to be at first. We can try a couple other things too. Obviously there's a lot here in the hybrid cinema area. I also did think like maybe you could use like a taiko drum hit, who knows? I mean, that would maybe be cool if we loaded up a taiko sound just to give us some initial punch. Let's check out these taiko sounds real quick. I do like that quite a bit. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. That might be the sound. Yeah, I like that. Do you like that? I want to hear what these taiko drums sound like. I have a feeling that it might give us the attack that we're looking for. I think that's my favorite because it's a good trail. The attack is crisp enough, but yet there's just tons of bass information in there. So let's go ahead and choose that as our attack. So I'm going to go ahead and do one note same, which means no matter what note I play on the keyboard, it's going to be, what is that? E3. So if you go ahead and just go into your individual part, click one note same, and push the note on the keyboard, it will switch very quickly. So now that we've got one note same on, we're going to have that attack across the board. Excellent. Cool. So let's go ahead and hop right back over to our Brahms parts, and I'm going to choose my sustain next. And I think maybe not. Maybe we can add another level of attack first. That whole Trolls has me thinking about these 808s. Let's go ahead and see what maybe some of these 808s sound like and see if it would blend well with the taiko hit. Let's try tape. Ooh. Oh, I like that. And I'm going to stick with whatever that note is because it's the least defined in terms of pitch for me. So let's go one note same. F1. Cool. And let's hear these two together. Oh! I love that. Wow. That's perfect. That is just perfect. You get just this kind of like, you get the attack of basically, I don't even, you know what's going on. You can see what's going on. I am at a loss for words at how perfectly that worked out. And like, never in a million years would I be like, taiko drum and 808. Let's see what that sounds like together. It's perfect. Great. We have 2 slots for Braahms horns, so let's head over there. We've got enough of a hit. At this point, I'm going to bring in maybe whatever my favorite sustain, consistent kind of sound is. So we're going to go to our A bank probably for this. Let's check it out. That one's pretty cool. Now, as I'm going through these, I'm thinking about already what my next layer is going to be. I'm going to grab the final layer from one of my more initial kind of swell stuff. So I'm looking for something with maybe just kind of a bass line, kind of like my foundation. Not going to get too much into the mix. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, awesome. And then I'm going to pick something probably from my B or C. I'm going to probably stick with B. B is really fun because you get that kind of like brass entrance sound. That's good. That is good, man. Big smiles all around. I like that. Do you like that? Let's keep it. Cool. And, you know, it's that simple. Like, you can just really kind of, you know, as I mentioned, the arrow thing is super huge. I mean, I can just flip through sounds until I land on the right one, and I'm loving this combo. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit just about gain staging and what I think about when I'm mixing these sounds. So I like to break them down one by one and make sure that I'm happy with my tone control before I get into volume. So that taiko, I might give it just a little high boost because we are going for an attack sound, and that is in the upper register. So I'm going to go ahead and put maybe 25% of a high boost on the taiko ensemble. And then I'm going to go over to the 808. I'm pretty thrilled with that, where it is. Maybe a little darker. Maybe a touch on the dark side, but there's such a nice snap to it. We'll give it 15%. And then, since this is one element to me, this is my attack, this is what the introduction of my sound is going to be, I'll try and balance these two volume-wise. So it's so good. You don't need to do anything. It's just great out of the box. No, but we're producers here. We're going to overdo something. I think because that 808 is such a bass element, I'm going to give it just a little boost volume-wise. Oof. Yeah, that's good. Cool. And then I'm going to work on my next elements here, which... To me, I'm hearing bassoons in this. I'm hearing bassoons, I'm hearing French horns. This is a very orchestral sound to me. Since it is a more static tone, I may want to mess with modulating some stuff, getting some LFOs involved. One thing I will mention that often gets overlooked, and I don't think I've even mentioned it in any of my demos to this point, is you have a pan function. You can pan each of these parts individually, and that pan function is automatable. So we can put an LFO on the pan of say, this part to create some left-right motion. So let's do that. Let's throw in an LFO. We're going to change our bias to center. Turn off sync, because who needs that? Some people, apparently. I almost never, I mean, only if I'm like trying to do something that's perfectly timed to my project. But if I'm just messing around, no. Let's go ahead and say 27%. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. I don't know how, if you're using headphones at home or not, you should be, because you're getting some nice left-right ear floss there. That's just subtle enough. Maybe make it 30%. Why don't I try 30? I like that. I like where that's at. Cool. I'm going to leave that. This is inspiring me to give some different left-right motion to our fourth layer here, but let's get really funky with it. I'm going to assign an LFO to the pan, just as we did before, but I'm going to make it LFO 2. I'm going to do a faster frequency. %. That's pretty aggressive. Yeah. But here's the fun part. I'm going to put a third LFO on the frequency of the second LFO. And I'm thinking maybe something like a ramp, either down or up, so that it just gives us that, you know, kind of like we're hitting, and it comes to a slow. Obviously, you're going to have to do some timing, watching where it is in the cycle to know when you should do your attack. But let's try this. I don't know if I've done this before, but we're going to make it LFO 3, and we're going to do a ramp shape. I actually don't know how this is going to sound. We'll find out together. I want it to be pretty slow. I don't know if you can see it's dark out over here, but it is working. Yeah. I like that. And let's go ahead and make it even more extreme. 50%. 50%! You see what it's doing here? So it's dragging the frequency slower and slower on the pan. I love that! Yeah. Oh, that's fun! Oh, yeah. Cool. All right, well, now that that's taken care of, let's hear what it sounds like with our other layer. And as I mentioned, you're going to kind of have to be watching this pan when you attack it, because there's no way to trigger. Triggering the LFO trigger modes would be a cool thing to add. Trolls. But for now, that's exactly what we want. I'm going to also go ahead and take this micro pitch and just detune it, because synth head in me. And I actually like this blend where it is. I'm going to bury this layer maybe a little bit, bring this one up a little bit just because I want to accentuate the motion. And then we bring in our attack. We haven't even put a reverb on yet. Oh, that's good. That is really, really good. Oh, man. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. So we've got an attack that I would describe personally as ideal. You've got a very crisp treble range happening from our taiko ensemble, but also some air as well. And then you've got the thud, the chest thud of the 808, combined with kind of a more stagnant layer, but we're doing some slow panning to keep things alive. And then we've got this crazy fourth layer that's already just the sound at its core has stuff going on, but we've got this crazy kind of panning thing happening with our LFO. And also we're detuned a little bit. So that's a lot, but we're all about the most here. So let's keep it going. This is the point at which I just get kind of experimental. I don't know how much good this is going to do, but I am interested just to hear what a chorus would sound like on this. I don't want a lot of chorus. Let's go ahead and start with Vintage Subtle, and these presets here are a great starting point. I'm biased because I made them, but I do like I do like them. I tried to go for some very literal names with the presets, so I believe this is going to be subtle. Let's hope it's subtle. I can't really hear what that's doing, so there it is. I like that. And then this is the point at which Shimmy just starts clicking around to see what things sound like, and you all watch. Can you guys hear that? Like it's like adding this whole resonance that just was not there before. Let's A B it. But you know, I don't know if I want that much of it, because it kind of does take away, it fluffs the attack, doesn't it? A little bit. So I always like to just cut my mix. If I like the general vibe of something, but it's impacting something else negatively, I like to just take my mix and half whatever I have it at currently. And that's a good middle range for us. And just to extra beef it up, let's do an EQ. Typically, I think the sweet spot for big bass hits is kind of around 125. Ish. Well, that's just... Nah, that's too much. Still too much. Maybe we do a little cut there. Do I like what that's doing? I do. I was making sure that I wasn't cutting anything in the bass there, because we need all the bass we can get. I actually love the unpredictability. I was saying that like you could go in here and try and time this hit so that it starts there and then gets down, but I like that it's a little random. One thing that I did notice is we definitely could have a little more release to our sounds. We're going to do a reverb in a second, but that's important. You want to have maybe just a little subtle release of maybe a couple seconds on each part. Also, totally cool to not like perfectly match each part's ADSR. I think little differences are kind of cool. If one fades out slightly before, if one comes in, you know, that stuff's great, because, you know, we're all about just trying to have an organic experience in Soundpaint, and that's the way to do it. Small differences. So that's giving us just a little, it doesn't like cut off super hard, and that's just the right amount of release for the reverb, which we're about to put into it. Yes, we could keep going. We could put a phaser on it. We could do a distortion. We could try a bit brush, but it sounds so good as is. I don't want to overdo it, because it's great. So let's just go straight to the reverb. I think probably shimmer, but I'm ready to be proven wrong. Okay, let's try one of these presets here, see what we can do. Dark Hall. That's cool. That's getting us close. That's the most we can do on size. And the pitch shift currently is down an octave on this preset. I want to hear what it would sound like maybe up an octave. That's kind of cool. Yeah, and we don't need so much of it, and maybe cut down on the size ever so slightly. That's cool. Actually, no. Let's go up. And let's take our time. Split the difference. Typically, I'm trying to find like the sweet spot between time and size. So 8 was too short, 10 was like a little too big, but my time, I wasn't touching that at all. So I'm going to make the time longer and reduce the size. That's cool. That's really nice. And I have just the perfect amount, 40% of the pitch mix in there. I don't really need heavy modulation, but we're already modulating so many other things. Let's go for it. And just in case you are unaware, the modulation section of this specific reverb means that the trail is going to be affected by an LFO here. And you can see it's at 0.70 hertz. Yeah, and you get your own pre-delay as well. And let's just grab the analog. Analog just adds unpredictability to things. I find that it's really noticeable in some scenarios and not so noticeable in other. We'll leave it in. And then, yeah, the tone, I'm okay if the reverb's on the high side. I think that's good. Final thing I think I'm going to do, and then we're leaving it. We're done. Let's widen the stereo image, maybe. That might be a cool effect. Ooh, With these Brahms, I mean, the cogs could turn for days. You could just come back to it the next day and say, oh, what do I want to do? What if I put an LFO to the rotation? But just a little bit, just to keep things moving, keep this interesting. If I'm going for just like a big Hollywood trailer, I want to maybe play, it's not just one hit, maybe I want to play a couple different hits and just keep this kind of, so I'm going to increase the wideness by, well, let's do a proper demo here. Maybe not increase, but decrease the width? That certainly does punch. It does hit you a little bit, right? That makes a huge difference. Wow. Depends what you're going for. There's an argument for both. That's epic from emotion. Like my ears are just, it's candy. But the more narrow does have a tendency to kind of punch right through the screen. Huh. Split the difference. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to add an LFO, our fourth of the day, to the rotation. Obviously, not that much. No. Just a little bit. Yeah. And much slower than that. Although, it might be cool to go faster. I tend to think of my amount section here as kind of like the fine tune, and then this range here as the coarse tune. I'm always thinking in terms of synths. So, that's still a little bit wide for me, but I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of like between 0 and 10%. So I'm just going to grab my amount and drop it. There we go. Just getting a little rocking motion here. Now, of course, you could do all kinds of stuff with the mod wheel. You could maybe assign it to the size so that it gets bigger as you grow. You could assign it to the brightness of some of our kind of more trebly layers up here. But, you know, I think we have a pretty dope sound right now. That is fun. You could put a compressor in there to give it even more punch. I might actually fine tune this and save it and see if it's not too late to include it in your program, because this is fun. This is really fun. Yeah, I'm gonna save it. So if it's in your programs, you'll know why. All right, if you see perfect Braahm in there, then you'll know it was not too late to send to Trolls and the team. I'm gonna fine tune it. I'm gonna do a little more on it, and then I'm gonna send it in. Okay, so that's kind of the whole deal with this library. But let's try something else. Let's do a quick thing here. I'm gonna go back over to my parts section, and I'm gonna just try and find. Let's try a pretty one. I want to make something pretty. We've been doing big and brash. I want to show off that these are totally building blocks for pretty sounds as well. So, something that I like to do in Soundpaint, as you'll notice, if you ever see programs that have one key in them, that's me and my fascination with trying to find specific notes or one key things and then stacking them and tuning them into chords and just making music out of the parts as they stand, so that you only have to push one key and it does something cool. I'm almost wondering if we could do something similar with that with the Braahms Horn library. Let me find the prettiest one here. That's going to be a good bass sound. Did I choose that in the last one? I can't remember. No, I'm sticking with it. Bring it low. Maybe way low. Ooh. So that's going to be our bass. And then let's try, we're creating a chord, by the way. We're creating a chord. Let me figure out what chord, and then we'll pick some other parts. So I'm going to tune that first layer down an octave. That's going to help me kind of just start at a good place where I can adjust all of these, maybe go greater. We might even go down 2 octaves, but all right. There's our bass layer. And now I'm going to pick a kind of more treble focused layer over here, one that's in the prettier sound. That's really nice. Very French horny. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go over here and go down to... Oh, we can really go down? You know, I don't know. That might be... I didn't realize we could go so far. Cool. Nice, we got a 5th. Then I'm going to pick a sound over here. I always like to turn them off and work one by one. That's just my own preferred way, but you can do whatever you want. I'm going for interesting, kind of pure tones, but have a little interesting thing to them. Cool. Might bring down the tone on that. And then let's pick another one. It's kind of of a nice top one because it's got this upper harmonic stuff happening. It's shrill, but it's not too shrill. Still a nice tone to me. Oh, that's nice. This guy needs a little more help. It's pretty cool. I think I like where it was. I'm gonna let it kind of get a little brighter. Now, envelope time. Now, as we were talking before, it's nice to have little changes between all the layers in terms of your volume envelopes. So I'm not going to pay too much attention to making sure that it's all the same, but let's start with part 1. I like that. Let's go to part 2. I just kind of try to eyeball it, and if it's close, it's good. Ooh, nice. Very pretty. Part 3. And this per part envelope interface is just clutch. So maybe that comes in a little bit later than the other parts. Cool. I'm going to have the releases be 0 on all of these. And then part 4. Let's hear them all together. Now that whatever's doing that is coming in a little too slow. What part is that? Not that. Oh, that guy. This guy. It's hard to keep track. Yeah, part 3. It's too slow. There we go. Now it'll sound nice. Oh yeah. We're just doing a speed run here to try and create the prettiest chord I can. I'm gonna do a little vibrato on that top layer. Yeah. And in terms of blend, I kind of like where things are. This one I do want the most down. Yeah. Playing one key, getting a beautiful swell. And then, of course, got to put it through a reverb. Let's do the Lexi. I think the Lexi is actually the prettiest one out of all of these. The Shimmer is obviously its thing, but this is just such a good emulation. Let's try Big Bright Hall. That's working for me. Isn't that nice? I just had to create something soft and sensitive after an hour of filming this with 2 hours of filming this with just this just goes to show you that, you know, great starting places, and these are really, really beautiful recordings, beautiful samples, and you've got, like, this is such a good example, this sound up here. It's not like beautiful per se, but the way that it is just processed and the nasally kind of aspect of it, it's great to just throw on top of a big chord like this. And yeah, I love doing stuff like this just for demonstration purposes, but this is also very sensitive and beautiful. I know I didn't do a ton of explaining on my thought process there. I just wanted to do the quickest speed run to a nice, warm, beautiful chord so that I could leave you on a happy, gentle note. And that is where I will leave you today. This is the Braahms Horn Generator. It is awesome. It is fun, and you should definitely dive into it. And I want to hear your biggest, baddest cinema hits. I want to hear your grisliest hip-hop basses. I want to hear everything that y'all do with this. So please, I'm online constantly searching to see how people are using Soundpaint. So I would love to see how this gets used. Tag me in it, whatever. But it's super fun, and it's such a joy to share it with you and create some big beefy sounds. So until next time, this is Shimmy signing out, and see you later.